Standard 7 History Unit 1 Sources of Medieval India. The topic is Sources of Medieval India. Dear children, how are you? I hope all are fine. Before we start our lesson, we should recall few points about history. First of all, I wanted to ask, what is history? Yes, you already learned in the 6th standard. History is the study of recorded events of past in chronological order. Chronological means what? Chronological means the arrangement of actions or events or things following one after another in time. In Tamil, கால வரிசைப்படி அமைத்தல். The term history has been derived from the Greek word historia, which means learning by inquiry. So, history is the study of recorded events of past in chronological order. History has been classified into prehistory and history. In prehistory, the period of time before written records, that means we are not having any evidence about the prehistory, written evidence about the prehistory. But in history, the recorded documents of events in chronological order. Indian history is classified into Ancient period, medieval period and modern period. Ancient period, medieval period and modern period. Dear children, in 7th standard, you are going to learn about this medieval period. Now, we are going to start this lesson, Sources of Medieval Period. Sources of Medieval Period. This medieval period is also classified into early medieval period from 700 to 780 to 1200 AD and later medieval period from 1200 to 1700. Sources of medieval period, that means what and all sources we are having to know about medieval period of India. That is the meaning of this lesson. Numerous and varied sources are fortunately available to the historian engaging the study of medieval India. Added to the information that can be gained from inscriptions, monuments and coins are the account left by Arab, Persian and Turkish chronicles. That means a person who writes an account of important historical events. These accounts are rich in details and have given first-hand information on the life of kings. Though they provide very little information on the life of the common people. Sources or the supporting material documents are recorded in the form of evidence that helps to reconstruct the past. Sources of medieval period classified into two. One is primary sources and another one is secondary sources. What is primary sources? The sources which give first information is known as primary sources. Primary sources, there are three important sources that are inscriptions, monuments and coins. Primary sources are inscriptions, monuments and coins. Then secondary sources. Secondary sources are religious literature, secular literature, books, biographies and autobiographies, travelers and travelogues. Secondary sources are religious literature, secular literature, books, biography and autobiography, travelers and travelogues. Now we are going to see about the primary sources. Very first one is inscriptions. What is inscriptions? In Tamil, how we can say it? Yes, kalvettukkal. Do you remember what is the study of inscription is called? Epigraphy. Very good children. You already learnt in the last year class. Do you remember? Okay. Now I am going to give definition for inscription. Inscriptions are writing engraved on solid surface such as rocks, stones, temple walls and metals. Inscriptions are writing engraved on solid surface. It cannot be damaged by any time. For that they used solid surface like rocks, stones, temple walls and metals. Inscriptions contains rich information about king's royal decrees, dedication and donation, monuments raised in commemoration of victories in wars, those built in memory of deceased warriors. In inscription that first rich information about king's royal degrees. What is royal degrees? The official order passed by the king. In Tamil, அரசாணைன்னு சொல்லுவாங்களே அதான். Next, the dedication means how the king served for the people, and donation means what and all gifts offered to the people by the kings. Then monuments raised if you got the king's victory in that war means what he will do? He constructed the monuments in the remembrance of the victory and also the soldiers who lost their lives in that war. Next, these inscriptions give information about the lands gifted by Chola kings. These Chola kings gifted so many lands in various types. There are Velan Vagai, land of non-Brahmin proprietors, Brahmadeya, land gifted to Brahmins, Salaboha, land for the maintenance of a school, Devadana, land gifted to temples, Pallichandam, land donated to Jaina institution. These and all the various types of land gifted by the Chola kings during the medieval period. Then several copper plates grant issued during the later Chola period. That means 10th to 13th century. Record gifts to individual priests or teachers who were Hindu, Buddhist or Jaina or to person of immense. Several copper plates issued to the immense people in society, so record the events. In that both the giver and receiver were very elaborately described. Students, look at this picture. This is called copper plate. Like this copper plate are issued to the immense people. Why means the immense people who were educated people in the society, they will do the record the events happening in the society. In the copper plate, both the giver and receiver were elaborate described. That means the king who gave this copper plate, who returned this copper plate, where was this written, everything, every detail given in this copper plate. The major focus is upon the giver only. Tiruvalangadu plates of Rajendra Chola first and unbuilt plates of Sundara Chola are a notable example of this copper plates. Next to Uttaramerur inscription in Kanjipuram district provide details of the way in which the village administration was conducted during that medieval period. In that inscription, Uttaramerur inscription in Kanjipuram district. Next we are going to see about the monuments. Monuments in the form of temples, koilgal, palace, aranmanegal, mosque, masudigal, tombs, kallaregal, fort, kotegal, minars and mirats, stubigal, are called by the collective name monuments. The inscriptions in these monuments contain rich information which can be used to construct history. Now few monuments we are going to see during the medieval period. Temples during the medieval period. Khajuraho temple in Madhya Pradesh, Konark temple, another name Sun temple in Odisha, Dilwara temple Mount Abu is in Rajasthan, Kangaikonda Cholapuram, Tanjavur in Tamil Nadu, Tanjavur Pragadishwara temple in Tamil Nadu, Dwaraswaram in Tamil Nadu, Vitala and Virupaksha temple in Hampi, Gangaikonda Cholapuram, Pragadishwara temple and Dwaraswaram tells about the later Chola period in Tamil Nadu. Then Virupaksha temple in Hampi speaks of contribution of Vijayanagara rulers. Then mosque, Ghazadul Islam Masjid, Motihi Masjid, Jamna Masjid, Fatpur Sikri Dargah and Charminar are the important mosques belong to the medieval period. Then the forts of historical importance are Agra Fort, Chittoor Fort, Gwalior Fort and Delhi Red Fort, as well as the fort of Daulatabad in Aurangabad and Feroz Shah Kotla is in where it is in Delhi. Next palaces, Jaipur Palace, Jaisalmer Palace, Jodhpur Palace. These Jaipur Palace, Jaisalmer Palace, Jodhpur Palace are signify the greatness of the Rajput dynasty. This tells about the Rajput dynasty during the medieval period. Then minars, Qutb Minar is in Delhi. Qutb Minar is in Delhi. Then another one, Alai Minar. Next one, tombs. Tombs means A monument to the memory of dead person erected over their burial place. That is called tombs. First one is tombs of Iltutmish. Next one, the another one, tombs of Balban. Then cities in rents such as Firozabad and Tughlakabad in North India and Hampi in South India remains rich prosperity of the history of medieval India. Next, we are going to see about the coins from the primary sources. The study of coin is known as numismatic. We should know what and all information there were inscription on the coin. The study of coin means we should know what and all information they were inscribed on the coins. The picture and the legend on the coins convey the names of kings with their titles and portraits, events, place, dates, dynasties and logos. This picture and the legend on the coins convey the names of the kings with their title. So if the king introduced one coin means in that coins inscribed the king's name with his title, and his portrait means உருவப்படம், அந்த கிங்கோட இமேஜை கூட அதில் அச்சிடுவாங்க. And events, king's remembrance of some events, no, that also put on the coins. Then place where the coins released and date when the coins was released. Then dynasty means ராஜவம்சம், ராஜவம்சத்தோடைய பேரை கூட அதில் குறிப்பிடுவாங்க. அண்ட் லோகோஸ், அவர்களுடைய அடையாள சின்னம். The composition of metals in the coins gives us information on the economic condition of the empire. Mention of kings' achievements like military conquest, territorial expansion, trade links and religious faith can also be found in the coins. We know the value of metals like gold, silver and copper. So in this, how the king's economic condition was. It is for that only they mentioned the coins gives us information on the economic conditions also. Muhammad Ghori had stamped the figure of goddess Lakshmi on his gold coins and had his name inscribed on it. This coin tells us that this early Turkish invader was in all livelihood, liberal in religious outlook. It mentioned Muhammad Ghori had stamped the figure of goddess Lakshmi on his gold coin. Then copper jitals are available for the study of the period of Delhi Sultans. Copper jital and silver tananga introduced by Iltutmish. Silver tananga introduced by Iltutmish. Alauddin Khilji's gold coin. Muhammad bin Tughlaq's copper token currency are indicative of coinage as well as the economic prosperity or otherwise of the country of the time. A jital contained 3.6 grains of silver. 48 jitals were equal to 1 silver tananga. For example, I am saying if you are having 1 rupee means it is equal to 100 pice. 100 pice equal to 1 rupee. Likewise, 48 jitals is equal to 1 silver tananga. 1 silver tananga. A jitals contained 3.6 grains of silver. 48 jitals were equal to 1 silver tananga. Okay, we completed the primary sources. What are the primary sources? Inscriptions, monuments and coins. Children, do you clear? For the next video, we will see about the secondary sources. The secondary sources are religious literature, secular literature, books, biographies and autobiographies, travelers and travelogues. Okay. Thank you, children.